Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for the last several years. Thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justice Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror or Halloween genre, but does phenomenal commission pieces of any type. So tonight, of course, I'm being joined by my special guest and compadre, guest co-host Wayne Mallows. We're going to explore the dream world. We're going to look at interpretation, the differences and visitations, visits, messages, dream weaving, lucid dreaming, apocalyptic dreams, you name it. We're going to delve into it. And there are a lot of differences. Usually, some of these things that we just take for granted, when you really start delving in it, it's crazy. And I've always been a dream interpreter. Whenever I get really deep things, I always interpret them. And they have been really, really just fascinating. So without further ado, dun, 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 hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
That's good. Good as can be. A little medicated, but okay.
Medicated is good. Hi, Patsy.
It can be.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Janie. Hello. Hello, Hoffnung. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, it has been. Welcome back. Always great to see you. And hello, Sherry. Waiting for the gang to come in. Dreams. It's interesting because you and I always talk about dreams, which is why I thought it would be just so much fun for us to do this together, because it is interesting. Aw, thanks, Sherry. Because we often both will have obscure dreams and we'll talk about it, and then I'll just start like sending stuff and just getting into crazy things. And and how many times you hear me say, oh God, okay, well, every morning it's funny because we'll ask each other any interesting dreams, because sometimes they're really wild and other times they're just kind of like non-existent, like we just don't remember them at all. And we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, most of the time what's been happening the last few years is we know we're dreaming, but we can't remember anything.
Yeah.
That's a really problematic thing for us.
It is. And it's strange, but I mean, it talks about that as well. So let me just pull this up for a second. Not remembering dreams is a bit, to me, that is really bothersome. Like I don't dig that at all. So
No.
So we're going to just look for a quick minute at not remembering dreams. So dreams and memory is a really big one. So why can't we recall them? Well, okay, word for word, what does it say? It's due to a combination of factors related to our REM sleep and brain activity. During this time, when most dreams occur, the brain areas are responsible for consolidating the memories into long-term storage, okay? So looking at that. So where is the problem? Long-term sleep, okay, REM sleep and memory. So the REM is the stage where most dreaming happens. Blah, blah, blah. We just kind of talked about that. I'm just reading this out to you guys. Short term, usually These areas are active during REM, but only hold information for about 30 seconds. There's a problem. Brain activity. Certain brain regions are crucial for memory, are less active than when they are when they're awake. So you get what's called dream fading. Dreams can fade rapidly upon waking, with about 50% of the content forgotten within 5 minutes and 90% gone within 10 minutes. So we always try to write things down, or we will tell each other the dream to try to get this information to come back up. So if you suffer from stress and sleep disorders, certain medications can disrupt the REM sleep, impacting dream recall. Waking up suddenly, especially with an alarm, can disrupt the dream recall process because it spikes the the norepinephrine levels. I can't even. I'm probably butchering that, but it's a hormone that helps memory consolidation. So, okay, that's a thing. So that would explain a lot, actually. That would explain a lot. Um, hold on, cabin in the woods. Okay, hold on. I've told the room about the cabin in the woods that I dream about, but I know when I enter that cabin, this life is over. That's frightening.
Hmm.
I have to try to figure out as we go along what type of a dream that is. Hello. Oh, of course he did. Of course he did. Hopefully he's giving his guest a little bit more talk time. What a guy. Anyway, hello, Carrie. Hello, Mish. I don't remember half or more of my dreams, but some are so vivid and I'm exhausted when I wake up. Yeah, I could see that too. It's exhausting just trying to remember it, you know? So, hey, Mark, how are you? Welcome. Nice to see you. Um, okay. Did that a couple of times. I don't remember saying some of my dreams that I had. I know it's hard to actually, um, to try to put it pen to paper or even just, I find my talk to text just butchers it. Then I go back to try to make sense of what it was I said. But I find that it's helpful for when Wayne and I tell each other the dreams because more information seems to come up
Yeah,
after,
for sure.
right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. So, your dreams. Do you want to talk about your dreams?
My dreams.
Yeah. Well, I
I've
mean,
always wanted to be an
you've had
astronaut.
one, right? You've had one.
I've
You've
had
had one
lots
or
of them.
two, but they're
Oh my
almost like they're almost the dreams that you seem to remember are almost prophetic, you know?
Yeah, I think to go back to the one comment about the cabin in the woods,
Mhm.
taking a stab at it, I would bet that's a past life thing because I've had those.
Past life
I've had
memory.
those. Oh my God, the Civil War dream was just that was something out of a movie, just a complete nightmare that went on
Mm.
for
Mhm.
days and days and days upon end. It was just a
Mhm.
complete nightmare. So when that individual said about the cabin in the woods, it was just yeah, it was like boom, I remember that.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. So I want to start off with one of the dreams that you had because we're going to talk a little bit about dream interpretation.
Hmm.
So this is what makes it really interesting. Okay, so you had sometimes you can dream something and it seems completely benign, and we'll talk about this one, and then we're going to talk about this other one where the sign came through upon request.
Yeah.
We'll explain that one, right, with the wreath.
Sure.
So let's get into the one you had about a Ford Falcon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
benign enough, right?
It does.
Okay, so
Totally
tell
does.
it.
It's just yeah, it was really, going through a lot of stress at that point, more so than normal. And
Yeah.
in this particular dream, I am I'm in a city that I know. I'm in Toronto area anyway. It felt like Toronto with the way the raised highways are.
Yes.
And I was driving east and I was in a Ford, like probably a 65 Ford Falcon station wagon. And the car was blue and it had a black interior, bench seats, but it had a 4-speed transmission manual on the floor with a white shifter knob.
Mhm.
And the thing about it was right-hand drive. It was like a British car or
Hmm.
made for Australia or New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in that country. I was actually on the proper side of the road for this side of the world, but I was in a car from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And I was driving east and I needed to go west. I needed to get turned around and go back. And I couldn't. Every place I could go to turn around, there was barriers up. And then I would look over to my left to look at the traffic going the other way. And it was just bumper to bumper. It wasn't moving at all. Like not at all. I got to keep going further and further and further east to try to get to a place or get back on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm trying to figure out a plan, there's a road sign up ahead that I could see. That was one of those construction ones that kind of orange lights flashing. And
Yeah.
it said, uh, 47 ramp closures ahead. 47, like not two, not detour. This is like you're not going west no matter what you do. 47, like I'm doomed. I'm just screwed. So
Yeah.
I just had to keep going. I just had to keep going east, and I don't know what happened at that point. I can't. If I got to where I was going, I don't recall it. I just
Mm-hmm.
remember how odd it felt to be in a right-hand drive car, and yet I could handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I could drive a stick with my left hand. It was totally normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it would normally be right out of my element. Sorry, I just lost my headset. So I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
There we
There we
go.
go. So,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm good.
Not being out of your element.
Yeah, so that was the dream. And I just thought, oh, that was so strange, so benign, right? But
Yeah.
then I started looking into it and I talked to Michelle about it. And I also talked to my witchy woo-woo sister, who is quite lovely to deal with. She's like the spirit of autumn, I used to call her, and she has all these books on dreams and psychic stuff and crystal balls and just feathers everywhere. It's just kind of nice. But I sent her a message, said, "Hey, listen to this dream," and she wrote me back with all the crazy information of what the blue meant and how white was purity and black represented the unconscious mind. It
Mm-hmm.
represented the untold universe. And 47 was like when she broke it down into the angel numbers was quite powerful. They were powerful on their own, but together they were even more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was when she said you can't go west, she goes, west is where the sun sets. It represents the death of something. So you're pulling away from something in your life that has passed away, has died, or you've grown out of. And east represents moving towards the light, towards something new and new beginnings.
Mm.
I just thought I was driving a Ford Falcon.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. I know I found loads of info on it as
Oh, you
well.
did?
And there was
Tons.
all kinds of stuff. So it's not so cut and dry. Um, Wayne, could the car dream be another reality?
Haha, I have lots of other realities when it comes to dreaming. I don't know if that was one of them. There's ones
Yeah.
that are we were just talking about it off air about the difference between lucid dreaming and where I know I'm dreaming and I can control the dream, which doesn't happen very often,
Mm.
and where I know I'm me, and I'm somewhere else, completely somewhere else,
Mm.
and I'm able to do different things that are completely out of character for the Wayne in this reality,
Mm-hmm.
to the Wayne in the other reality. It's just that's really different. The altered reality ones have lots of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I love that. I love dreams like that. Now we had one, like I had one the other night, but a very strange thing happened after that. So I'm going to grab this. 1 second. 1 minute. Oh, gotta widen this up. Okay. So sometimes before I go to sleep, I will say, especially if I have something going on and I would like a message, I will go ahead and put it out there. But I want to make sure I can remember it. So I basically had asked, okay, I need this information or this information, and it came. But it was one of those things. It was kind of like, oh God, okay, what's going on? So I wake up in the morning and 8:30 in the morning, everything's normal. But at about 11:45, I getting ready to come out and there's a wreath on the floor. So this feathered wreath sits
Mm.
over top of a dresser, loaded with like, my baubles and stones. If this thing would have fallen, it would have taken everything out with it, 100%. But instead, it was lifted up and put down in front of the door, face up to not damage these, very ornate feathers. And I thought, so nothing more than just a gentle little thump. So I'm like, okay, I need to know what this means because this is very peculiar. But what's more peculiar is that it happened outside the dream state based on my request. So it says finding a feathered wreath on the ground or floor can have various interpretations, often linked to symbolism associated obviously with feathers and wreaths. But feathers will frequently symbolize spirituality, freedom, messages from the divine, while wreaths often represent victory, celebration, or remembrance. So the specific meaning can depend on what the individual beliefs are. So it has a spiritual connection, which made sense. Freedom and transformation at the time made sense. Guidance made sense. And specific colors is where it got kind of cool. So when I basically looked up colors, because it's red and black, kind of matched my hair, which at the time, which is why I bought it. But anyway, so the red feathers often symbolize the strength, courage, and vitality, particularly in spiritual and cultural contexts. It represents passion, good fortune, a connection to our inner fire, right? Some traditions find red feathers seen as a sign of, again, divine guidance, presence of spirit guides, encouraging confidence, so on and so forth. Again, the strength, the courage, all of that. So let's just kind of go biblical for a minute. So in the Bible, feathers, including the red ones, generally symbolize protection, refuge, and a connection to the divine again. And they talk about feathers and the divine protection and link to a spiritual realm in Psalm 91:4, being a key passage. So, I mean, there's so much on this, and it all pertained to the I call it, is that a vision, or what would you guys call that? If it's not a vision, because it's not a vision, it's not something that I saw, you know, it's not really. I would think maybe what, dream weaving, which can manipulate what happens in the awoken world.
Hmm.
I don't know.
You did ask to have a vision or a dream or a message, and I think you got it. And
I
I
did.
think the wreath on the ground in the morning was almost like a punctuation, like an exclamation mark, like bam, there you go.
Yeah.
You remember that now? That's what
Yeah.
I got from it
As per
because there
your
was nothing
request.
spooky. Yes.
No, it wasn't spooky. A dream
No.
journey. Yeah. I don't know. It's
No. There was
definitely.
nothing spooky in the house. You check all that. It was nothing out of the ordinary. The house was normal.
Yeah, me too. Um, for some reason, I was alone in the chat, went out and came back. I don't know. That happens to Wayne quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
um, Hoffman, when I walk in the woods around that cabin, they're completely unreal. There's no words to describe those woods and the life. This is why I think they are where my spirit goes at the end. Well, you want to hear another hypothesis on that is there is a belief that when we do go to bed, that the spirit doesn't stay in the body. Why would it? I always use the example, it would be like sleeping in your car in the garage. It wouldn't make any sense. The body needs the rest, not the essence. Maybe this is a place where you travel because it's a place of remembrance. It's a place that you might find peaceful or that you might find intriguing. I believe we travel to many places. There is also a strong belief that when we sleep, we like in this realm, that we're working in the other realm. Perhaps we're helping other people as guides. Like there's all kinds of different theories with that. So, it's maybe not so gloomy. Hello. So, I don't know. I do find it really, really, really fascinating when we get into things like that. So if we're getting into um, different, let me get back to my notes here. I'm bearing extra water hose. Sorry, I'm bearing housing. You were signaling to yourself, pay attention, not on what you own that is valuable, but on your environment. Sometimes they do that as well. It's very fascinating. Like mine are pretty. The one I think the ethereals that educate me, they're pretty. They're pretty much the same. I can kind of know when somebody else comes into the mix a little bit too, though. It's very, very fascinating. I love dreams, and I thought it would be interesting to get into the whole realm of them. Um, okay, so let me get back to the proper notes now. Okay, so
Down the rabbit hole we go.
well, I do. I like it. I love
Oh, I
this
do
sort of
too.
thing.
But we need like a 4-hour show.
We would need, yeah, I know we would need. Who did I miss? Who did I miss? Uh, hey, hi, Mort. Okay. I just want to make sure I got everybody. I have recently been exploring dreams and heard others express we do travel in our sleep, even full body to other realms. Some good, some not so good. Reasons very telling what our soul reveals. So, okay, Wayne, you have
Yes.
had. Okay, hold on. Which side are you on in your Civil War dreams?
Confederate.
There we go.
Confederate infantry and scared to death.
Oh, okay. Why don't you talk about that?
Sure, if you want, that's fine. I got all the time in the world.
Yeah, go
It's
ahead.
bizarre because if we go back in the Wayback Machine, when I was much younger and I was traveling, through the States on my way down to Graceland and just do the sort of the Elvis wander around tour kind of thing. And I remember coming down a hill and it was my Camaro and came down a hill into a valley and it was beautiful, beautiful valley, trees on both sides of it, um, lots of like sort of white birch trees, and split rail fences along it. And I pulled over, and my partner at the time, she's like, "Why are you pulling over? Is it another one of those historic signs?" And I'm like, "No, no, no. It's weird. I don't know." I got out of the car. And I wandered along the shoulder for a bit, just looking around, like taking it in. Like it just seemed so surreal. I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, what the hell? It's a field. I don't care. And when she got out, she was all perturbed and worried about me and like, what's going on? And she says, like, what is this? I said, I don't know. I feel like I've been here before. She said, well, you traveled all through the States with your parents as a kid. Like, you probably were here before. I'm like, no, I wasn't here before. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
get it, right? It doesn't make any sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I didn't get it. Still didn't get it. And then probably many years, 25 years later, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
I have this dream, and it's a nightmare. It's basically infantry against infantry, north against south, blasting away at each other, and cannon fire, smoke, and horses screaming, and guys screaming, and bullets flying everywhere. And it was so real. Like I got shivers just talking about it. Honestly, it's just a nightmare. And I remember crawling up a hill, and I had mud all over my suit and my uniform or whatever, and trying to get up this hill and make my way along. And if I woke up at any point in that dream, to get a glass of water or whatever, try to cool my jets a bit. When I got back in the dream, it didn't pick up where it left off. It picked up like if I was gone 5 minutes, it picked up 5 minutes later. It was just freaky, and it
Hmm.
happened day after day. But I remember cutting through this field and trying to get to this farmhouse, barn, shed kind of deal. And I remember getting up to it and sort of leaning against the wall. And I went to go around the corner, and then everything just went black. I don't remember anything, nothing up after that. And the next thing I know is I'm walking along, just walking along a road, and there was all these Confederate tents camped out, and I'm just walking. I can't believe how quiet it was. I kept thinking to myself, oh man, the cannon fire must have just ruined my hearing. I'm half deaf. And I see two commanding officers walking towards me, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm just in so much trouble right now. I don't have my hat, my uniform's a mess. I don't know where my rifle is. Like they're gonna just dress me down up and down. And they walked right past me like I wasn't even there. It was freaky. It was the freakiest thing,
Hmm.
And this went on night after. I thought I was going to die. I honestly thought I was going to die because I couldn't escape it. It was every single night for months. I was
Hmm.
losing weight. I was sweating every night. It was horrible.
That's craziness.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, both Kathy and Carrie are saying, could it be past life memory?
Oh, I'm sure. 100% I'm sure. I mean,
Yes.
we could go right into the living world. I was working with a woman. Yeah, she considered herself gifted. Don't know if she ever was. She was kind of witchy kind of woman. Anyway, she came back from a vacation with an envelope and she said, "Here, I bought these for you." And I'm like, "What are they?" She goes, "They're pictures." But like, I was walking by a store and I don't buy gift stuff. I just don't. And something compelled me to go in the store. I went straight over to sort of the postcards, pictures, and I bought these for you. And then someone told me that Wayne wants these. And so she goes, "Here they are." And I opened them up and they were all on the battlefield of dead Confederate soldiers. And she
Wow.
goes, "I don't know why you would want those." I said, "I don't know either." And I hadn't had that dream yet. I hadn't started to have that dream yet.
Hmm.
And the last part of that dream was in the middle of winter. I was driving north in Canada in the winter. There's like snow everywhere. It's not a fun place.
Hmm.
My parents lived up there, and I was taking my youngest son up there to visit them. And I came around a snowy corner in the road, and a guy on horseback rode up the ravine to level with the road. And he was a commanding officer dressed as Confederate soldier with the horse dress, the blanket across its back. He had like the Stetson with the braids, the whole 9 yards. Like I was so transfixed on this guy. We locked eyes, like we locked eyes as I looked through the car window, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Like who does a Civil War reenactment in Northern Ontario in January? Like no one ever. And
Hmm.
I'm like freaking. I'm looking in my rear view mirror and I can't see him. Like, where did he go? So I was telling my son, I'm like, "Tell me you saw that guy." He goes, "Which guy?" I went, "The guy on the horse, the guy on the horse. The guy came up, the guy on the horse. Tell me you saw the guy on the horse." He said, "Yeah, I saw him. I saw him. What's the big deal?" I'm like, "I don't know. As long as you saw him, it was cool." Fast forward like 10 years, I'm talking about that. And he goes, "Yeah, Dad, I never saw that. I never saw anything. Like, you were just so freaked out about it. I just wanted to calm you down." So I said, "Yeah, I saw it, but I saw nothing."
Hmm. Comments on that is Jim says, do you have a relative who served in the Civil War with perhaps genetic memory?
No,
You're British, though,
not that.
so yes.
We're from across the pond. Yeah, Irish French cross in England. So no.
Wayne, the smell is the worst thing for my Civil War dream. When I have the dream that's stuck in my nose for months.
It's horrible. It makes you gag.
Yeah.
It's a cross between gunpowder and blown apart people. Like
Yeah.
it's just blown apart. It's so gross. It's like it's so gross. It's unbelievable. Like I said, it just gives me goosies even talking about it. It's just unreal.
Hmm.
Unreal.
Yeah. It's interesting how, some dreams or past life memories can just seem like it's all taking place, which kind of makes me wonder, could it be dimensional? Did you step back in a bit to relive something so fiercely and to have one? My reasoning I'm asking is because to have a vision of the Civil War soldier on a horse in an area we can't be, it's almost as though, did you actually see one another? Did somebody follow you back? Woohoo,
Or was it just
Tamara, Rumble.
I was could have been a portal
Love
between the
it.
two realms. I don't know. I have no idea what it was. Like zero recollection of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like we picked up a rifle in Gettysburg uh, eons later after the dream, and they had all kinds of really cool replicas and things there. It was a long rifle,
Mhm.
and this one was rusted, like completely rusted. It didn't have its wood stock. It was mounted on a board, And I asked the guy about it, and he goes, "Oh, that was found in a field in Virginia." And I said, "Tell me about it." And he says, "It's a Confederate rifle, and it was the thing that made it special to me was the barrel was bent, but it still had the ramrod for packing the cartridge into the barrel, so it wasn't in its holder." That is a timestamp for me that whoever owned that rifle
Mm-hmm.
was trying to reload it in the heat of battle
Mm-hmm.
and got hit by cannon fire, and that he got blown to bits, and that rifle got left on the ground because the barrel was bent.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a timestamp for me. It was just like I had to have it, and I kept
Yeah.
it for years and years. My son's got it now.
Yeah. That's a nice piece to hand down.
Yeah.
Sherry says, had a dream visitation at my grandmother's house. She looked at me reciting a poem, kept repeating it until I did too. Woke up saying the poem. My mom said she used to recite it when she was, where'd you go? I guess when she was little, is what I have to assume. Is that cut off? Um, Jim says would be an interesting session with a transmigrational hypnotherapist to see if it was a past life. Very
I
possible.
spent years looking through books for pictures because I was sure if I looked long enough and deep enough, I would find a black and white picture looking back at me that looks like me. I'm sure of it,
Yeah. Well,
you
it's
know.
interesting. It is interesting. So, I mean, those are just some examples. I mean, I've got a list, as long as my body of different dream type experiences, visitations, visions, downloads, lucid dreaming. I used to be able to, this is what bothers me, is I used to be able to lucid dream like nobody's business. I could slip easily into the sleep state. I could fast forward my dreams. I could rewind them. If something was going on that I was particularly interested within that dream, I would stay there and I could manipulate, what was going on. It was so easy. Then you just have children and somehow it all changes because I don't think you ever sleep again.
No.
No. Tamara says, I used to have vivid dreams on battlefields with swords.
Mhm.
It's funny, past life. I know I used to do that as well.
Yeah.
But it's some dreams, that I've had where I'm walking in different places. I remember one specifically, and I believe I felt like up in England, Scotland area only because of the rolling green hills that they have in these areas and walking on cobblestone, like an old house or castle or something. It just had really, really big cobblestone blocks within the house. And I know even the cottages had that. I could never pinpoint the whole environment, but I could feel it on my feet. So if I was walking on the grass, and if it felt wet, in the morning dew, I could feel that. I could feel the cold, walking on the big stone slabs within the structure that I was in, and I'd wake up, even my feet would feel cold. It's just crazy. It's just like, what is that? Like how it just sort of skips in with you after the dream state, you know? Tamara could smell everything that would bother me for works after the dream. Well, yeah, I would imagine that any war dream would stick with you for sure. Jim says, when Anne died, I asked her what was going to happen at the funeral. Everything I dreamt of happened, even when I looked into the mini fridge and there was no coffee cream. That's too funny. That's very detailed, though. And says most people might look at that and go, well, that doesn't seem very significant, but it does when it happens. That's like a premonition almost,
It's the
right?
little details in the dreams I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the the entire dream that blows me away. It's even you've said to me when I'm recanting those dreams to you,
Mm-hmm.
it's the detail. It's the smallest thing, like nothing goes unnoticed. It's
Mm-hmm.
freaky.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to pay attention to all details. Um, the dream that really scares me is the one which I am in a room with a cloak with cloaked figures, only twice, and both times my entire life changed. So that almost seems like an omen of sorts. I did a planned meeting once with my soul sister. I love it. We had a code word to say, which was starfish. We both did the same meditation and we met on a beach at sunset and we were kids. I said starfish. And see, that to me sounds like dream weaving
Hmm.
a little bit, where you can sort of bring that that into the present a little bit,
Yeah, well, you cognitively go into the dream or into the meditative
which
state.
is dream
That's
weaving.
right. Yeah, it's whereas
Exactly.
when you go to sleep, I have no intention of dream weaving. I just go to sleep because I'm exhausted and a dream happened. So
Oh no,
it's definitely
sometimes I say
different.
I want this, and then it'll happen, but
I
I have
want,
to
I want,
remember
I
it.
want.
See, that's the weird thing, is I'm aware when I'm dreaming. I'm fully aware that I'm in a dream. I'm fully aware of what's going on, even to the point where I tell myself, God, I need to remember this when I wake up. I go to the extent of trying to remind myself in my
Not me.
dream that I need to remember certain details. I wake up and you'll say, oh, so hey, did you have any dreams? I know. I know I did because I was aware of it at the time, but don't ask me. I have no freaking clue. Patsy says, dreamed I was following a naked angel across a path of huge, jagged boulders with smooth surfaces, but jumbled and crooked. I could see his bare bottom and his big white wings, and I don't think it was on Earth. Nope,
Hmm.
that's a little bit different for sure. So, uh, hello, Guardian. Um, Most of the time, chasing her while she giggled around, saying, "You're crabby cancer." And there was a third girl. That's funny.
Hmm.
Um, hello. Okay, I've been dream weaving, dream weaver. I know. You're welcome. I think that's the song that I used when we put that on Instagram. It was in my head too. It's kind of like, oh
Well, I
boy.
changed all the words to that to be the Queen's Weaver.
I know some people who fought for both the Union and the Confederates, and they always get into arguments with each other. Well, that's,
I didn't
I
meet
think,
anybody in my dreams. I just had dead people flying everywhere. You know.
yeah, it's hard to take, it's absolutely hard to take. And it's hard to wipe that out, of your memory after the fact.
Oh, that went on
Um,
for months. It's
I
craziness.
mean, if you think about it, what exactly are dreams? They're sensory experiences that take place during sleep, right? So if you look at that, they come in like in the form of a movie, maybe a succession of images, emotions. It's interesting to feel all of that. And visitations to me are some of interesting, the most
Mhm.
interesting, because you're being visited by loved ones. And I mean, I've had all kinds of visitations. It's weird, because when my grandfather passed away, he my grandmother always had this vision of her perfect house, because my grandfather built her a big house, but she had a vision of retiring in a small house, and it looked a certain way. Every time I would see him, I would see he was working on this house. I'd see him in other forms, as well, but a lot of times it was at this house. And every time, like, they had 6 children. Every time an aunt or uncle passed away, what's going on? Is a bird acting up?
No, 1 second.
Ooh.
No, that's okay. The AC just kicked on.
Oh, good.
I
All right. I'm like, ooh,
didn't know
something
what that
exciting.
was. Yeah, no, nothing exciting. It just caught my attention. That's all. Sorry.
All right.
Carry on.
Anyway, so whenever I would have an aunt or uncle pass away, I would see them in a visitation with my grandfather at the same house. And this went on because I lost, they lost 4 of their children before. I mean, like, now there's 2 left. So they've lost 4. And I would see them all at this place. It's insane. It's just, and I've had some come in and have conversations with me. I've had some of them show me things, that needed my attention. It was insane. Um, I can't control when I have those types of dreams. Usually I'm so tired. It throws me off for about a week, and dreams cross time barriers. They do. Um, have you had a dream where you wake up and go back to sleep and come back to the same dream often? Yes. How about you?
Not often. No, it's once I'm out of it, I'm out of it. As hard as I try to go back to it, even if it's important, I can't.
I think it depends how long you're awake, right?
Hmm. In my conscious memory, I can't ever remember being able to pop back into one other
Mhm.
than that Civil War dream. That Civil War dream was, yeah, it was the
We
continuation of
used
the
to
thing
have
I
a
never
haunted
wanted.
house dream too, though. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was wild too. That was just stupid. I don't even that was it could be terrifying at times and not so much other times. It was just very I knew I was in it. As soon as I got to the grounds or sometimes the dream would start and I was already in the front foyer or in the living room or whatever, I'd be like, oh, this is this house. Oh my God. It was like the house was alive. It wasn't like so much haunted. The house itself was alive.
Which
You
is
know, it
what
knew
some
where you
people
were.
used to say about the manor.
Yeah, this place was big though. This was a big monstrosity of a place. Just crazy,
Mm,
you know.
yeah. So I don't know. Now you had a um, you asked for communication. I don't know if we could say that was a visitation so much as it was almost like a vision given to you, a communication that you had asked for,
Yeah,
much like what I had with the wreath.
yeah,
Do you want to talk about that?
sure.
Because
Yeah,
that's
no
like
problem.
really, really cool.
Yeah, again,
Yes.
I was working nights, and a long drive home. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning,
Mm,
and I was, being a writer, I'm used to talking to myself, and it doesn't usually bother me a whole lot. But
mm,
I was having a discussion with the great beyond.
mm.
And I said, like, all right, listen up. I need answers. This is crazy. I'm just running out of patience here. This it makes no sense. I'm on the gerbil wheel running around and around in circles. I'm not getting anywhere. So I need answers. And of course, there's silence comes to me as it usually does.
Mm.
No, this one I got a long drive, so I'm just pounding this out. Come on now. Like I need answers. I'm being dead serious here. Like I'm really upset by the whole situation. Again, nothing. Until finally I said, look, I need answers. If you don't give them to me, then what's the point? What's the
Mm.
point in even continuing? Like, I'm not even going to bother with this. I'm not going to work anymore and I'm not going to push the boulder uphill. There's no point. I'm just going to lay down and wait to pass away. And that's the end of it. How about that? And no sooner than those words had left my lips, I heard this really pleasant voice that was neither male nor female, just I won't say monotone, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful without beauty. I don't know how else to really describe it other than undescribable. And it said, you would not understand. It didn't say wouldn't. I remember that. It was really interesting. It was like, you would not understand. And I just laughed. I was just like, that's such a cop out. Come on. You're the
Mm.
universe, you're God, you're the one, whatever you want to call yourself. Like, you can't make a peasant like me understand. Come on. Realistically, come on.
Mm.
And then it said it would frighten you. I'm like, okay, I have to take that. Okay, fair enough.
Mm.
I believe that. I'll take that as an answer. So I drove
Mm.
along in the darkness for a while and I was like, all right, how about this? All right, you being the all-knowing everything, why don't you give me as much as you want to give me until I can't take it, and I'll just tell you stop at that point, and then let me digest it. How about that? Then there
Mm.
was nothing. So there's nothing after that. I didn't think anything of it. Okay, well, I guess that conversation is over, and I didn't think a thing about it. Got home, fed the cat, did all the things I had to do at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I went to bed. And that night, I had the most profound dream, vision, whatever you want to call it. It was
Mm.
wild. I
Mm.
always know when I'm dreaming, and it's important because they're all in color, and I can feel everything. I can hear everything. It's like the wind on my face. I can tell if it's hot or cold, all that stuff.
Mm.
And I'm walking through a park-like setting. There's trees, the grass is cut. There's people walking around. It's not spooky in any way. And there's this, all I can describe it looks like a burial mound. Like a great big, mound of grass that's not like a mountain, but it would take you, 45 seconds to a minute to get to the top of it. There's
Mm.
no stairs or anything. So I look up, and there's this guy standing on top of the hill. And he's tall, I can see, and he's wearing like what I would call a white robe, but as closer I got to it, it looked more like mother of pearl. It shimmered with all different kinds of colors. I couldn't see his feet. The robe went all the way to the ground. And he had his arms folded across his chest with the long sleeves. I couldn't see his hands either. And I thought he was bald, but he had really, 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 really short white hair. It was wild. So I got all the way up there, and I'm standing in front of this guy was like 7 feet tall. Like I'm tall. Like I'm really tall. I don't look up to many people. And then,
That's true.
I was looking
Yeah.
up at this guy going, my God, this guy's huge. Beautiful blue eyes. Like you could just almost see the universe through his eyes. It was crazy looking. Anyway, he began to talk to me, and he said, this is a while ago, so I don't even know if I'm going to do it in order, but he said to me, he goes, do you believe in a world beyond this world? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, of course I do. Things like, aliens and other planets and stuff like that, of course I do. And he just nods, like it's okay, right? Doesn't say it, just nods. And he says, do you believe in beings, that don't have a mortal being, like they're not physical? And I asked him, I said, what do you mean, like ghosts and spirits? And he shook his head. He said, no, not them. These never had bodies. They're just like energy. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I get my head around it. You know what I mean? Like I understand what you're trying to say. I've never encountered one to my knowledge, but yeah, just because we have a body doesn't mean everybody has to have a body. And again, he just nods. And he kind of looked off for a minute, looks back at me, and he says, do you know why farmers fertilize their fields and give their livestock good food? And I said, well, yeah, they want a good yield. They want a good harvest. And he's like, correct, that's right. And he said, I'm going to tell you something. He said, this place, this planet, gives off a light that can be seen throughout the cosmos, but it can also be seen dimensionally. Because it comes from everything. It comes from the grass. It comes from the fish, the birds, you. Everything gives off this light, and it's a beacon for everything, dimensionally and, universally. I'm like, okay, I get it, fine, I understand that. And he said, all right. He said, there are beings that are around. They've been around a long, long time. And he said, they came here about 400,000 years ago, right? And they took over this planet. And he said, they made a deal then with the leaders of the time. Basically, they could have anything they want. Anything that they wanted in the world. Anything. As long as they kept their people down and out. And I said, that makes no sense. Why would they do that? He said, because the energy that these beings feed upon is sadness, upset, terror, fear, hunger, war, pain, suffering. That is what they enjoy. That's what their palate is. And he says that's what they do. I just like at that point I'm just like, oh my God, this is mind blowing. Like I just can't. Okay, you got to stop now. I just got to really think this through for a few minutes. So he just nodded. He understood, right? And I said, okay, so I have to leave now. And he nodded. I'm walking away, and I stop and I look back at him. He's standing there looking at me. And I said, once I get my head around this, can I come back and talk to you again? And he closed his eyes, and he kind of looked up with his eyes closed. And then he looked back at me and he nodded. And I just assumed that he is, having a conversation with his brethren, if it's okay, But he nodded and he said, yeah. He just didn't comment. He just nodded in agreement that it would be okay, And months later, I asked to speak to him. I called him the man on the hill. I said, I need to speak to the man on the hill again. And this time the voice came right away, same voice. And it said, what is it regarding? And I said, I just need to talk to him. And it said, no.
Wow.
Got to have a clear avenue to talk to this person. You can't just, it's not a chat room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you got a clear, decisive question you needed answered, then they were willing to talk to me. But beyond that, no.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
yeah, mind blowing.
Yeah. So that definitely steps outside of the realm, of visions or downloads, or like it's a full on communication,
It was
which,
back and forth.
yes. Like you've had stuff like that before too, though. Do you
Yeah,
remember the lady in the shimmering dress? Do you remember that? Remember?
that was ET. There was another one with guys in an office in a forest.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
You know,
You get ridiculously crazy things.
the one I call the ET one. I didn't ask for a communication, or did I ask for? Yeah, I don't know if I did or not. Now it's a while ago. I can't remember. But
Mm-hmm.
I had, I couldn't tell you. I was like, I went to bed, and the next thing you know, I was awake, and I couldn't tell you if I was laying down, sitting up, floating, standing. I don't know, but I felt completely at ease and completely comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a series of colored lights on well, I would say a wall, but there was no wall. I couldn't see a wall, and
Mm-hmm.
they were square. They were square lights. They were blue, yellow, red, and green. I think blue,
That's,
yellow, red, and green. Anyway,
it's interesting
doesn't
that you can
matter.
remember those details.
Yeah, well, they were square. They were just off to my left.
Yeah, yeah.
And ahead of me, this woman comes out of the darkness. And not scary. Like normally, if I'm in a dream like that and something's coming to me out of the darkness, I'm just like, whoo, panic, panic. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't feel scared at all.
Yeah.
And she comes out of the darkness and she's wearing what I would call like an orange colored or like a metallic rust colored
Mm.
dress. And she was very pale, very like the typical gray looking alien face. But she didn't have the black eyes, and she had long, like straight hair, almost like out of The Grudge.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful blue eyes, like big almond, beautiful blue eyes. Just she was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And she came to me and she says, "I don't want you to be afraid." And I said, "I'm not afraid." And she says, "Oh, that's good. I'm glad." And she said, I'm here to answer your question. Yeah, it was a question. I asked about, was it a matrix? This is right. And she said, "I'm here to answer your question about it being a matrix." She said, "You're right, it is." I said, "So it's all run by computers, and is that the idea?" She says, "No, it's not. It's not like that, not at all." She goes, "But it is a stage, and it's all been built for you." Like, for me? Really? Just me? And she goes, "No, no, 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 no." She goes, "It's built, made for your kind." And I said, "My kind, like human beings?" And she says, "Nope, not human beings. Your kind." She goes, "Your kind evolved, millions and millions of years ago to the point where you no longer needed the physicality of a body. You're just pure energy." I'm like, "Okay, so why construct all this then?" She goes, "Because without the physicality, you became a very unfeeling, uncaring, non-emotional, not connected species. You became a danger to yourself and everybody else. So you came to us collectively and asked us to help you. So we created a physicality for you, a place where you could reenact with a physical being to see if you could manage it. And so we did it. We did it for you, but we did it for ourselves as well." And I said, "Well, why would you do it for yourselves if you're just doing it to see if we could actually function in the physicality?" She
Mm-hmm.
goes, "Because we didn't think you could. A million years without a physical being is a long time to be without a physical being. To be thrust back into it would be extremely painful." And I remember looking at her and she had such an empathetic look about her. And I just said to her, I said, "We're not doing well, are we?" And she says, "No, you're not."
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So, and
That's
I just kind of
yeah,
floated away with that. So I didn't get any more information from her beyond that.
yeah. It's crazy. I always find it interesting how you go to ask a question and so you know this, you know this. Now, if I freaking remember, I wouldn't be having to ask.
No, exactly.
You know, Hoffman says, Wayne, I walked with a young woman who had a dress that had the universe playing in it. I never remember our conversations. Any ideas, please, if you don't mind?
I wish I could.
A
I
dress that
don't
had the
know.
universe playing in it. That's interesting.
That's like way I picture it is like a sparkly night sky and
Like a
everything's
veil of
moving
sorts.
around. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a complete moving around
Could
sort
it
of
have
thing,
been a
you know?
frequency about her, something, a vibe about her,
Mm.
maybe? Or maybe giving the illusion if this is what she was doing or wearing.
Maybe she is the representation, the goddess of the universe. This is me. Look at
Mm.
me. Maybe
Yes.
the universe is female.
Hmm. Yeah.
Something I've been toying with for the last, well, probably 5 years anyway. You know,
Yeah.
that everything is female based, you know.
Well, it used to be. At one point, it was very females, goddesses are very revered,
Hmm.
and then enter male counterpart and you
I
know,
hate to go back to Star Trek on
conditioning.
things like this, but I think Gene
Yeah.
Roddenberry was being fed information, and there was this one, the original Trekkie with Jim Kirk and all the guys. They land on a planet, and the women are all technologically savvy and living underground, and all the guys are just like Neanderthals.
Hmm.
And that was done. They built it like that, and they'd
Mhm.
gone to war or something, and the planet had gone into phantom, and they put
Mm.
all the women underground to keep them safe. But it'd been thousands of years, so these guys had just basically de-evolved into survivability,
Mhm.
and the women went underground, and they didn't realize that they realized the two existed, but they only got together to mate, and it was done very, you know, we're going to capture you and we're going to
That's
cage
it.
you,
Yeah.
and then we're going to do the deed, and
Yeah.
out you go.
Yeah.
That was the
Good
way it
old
went.
Star Trek. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it just made me really wonder if
It was
there's like,
advanced. It was ahead of its time,
oh, way
for
ahead, but
sure,
it
for
just
its
makes me
time.
wonder
Yeah.
about the whole female,
Yeah.
the female-led world. I think it'd be a lot better place.
Yeah. Kathy says, I
Oh,
had a dream after my husband passed with a man all dressed in white. He looked at me and said, it's not your time yet.
mm,
Maybe a visitation.
yeah,
Hoffman says he likes the idea that the universe is female. Yeah.
so do I.
Yeah, exactly.
So do
So
I. So
I don't
do
know.
I.
I think, I love the idea of, like, I don't know, visions and symbols, and when you get into visions, they're often associated with not just, they'll say, oh, spiritual or religious experiences. I've had visions that don't have anything necessarily to do with that, but it did get me on a journey, even, into um my, like, ET awareness and such, like downloads, and just waking up and having, like, hands on my head, on the crown of my head, and it kind of feeling just tingly, and then just waking up, like I always say, things just seem to be there when I need them to be there, or I need to apply them, you know. Wayne's dream sounds like a real explanation as to why we are here in the physical. It goes in, wow, we're sure not doing well over here.
No, she said that, most emphatically. No, you're not.
Hmm. Some
You
things
know.
haven't changed,
No. Well,
clearly.
look at the office dream that I had too. I mean, it was the same thing. I asked a question about my writing and where it was going, and
Hmm.
had a dream walking through a forest, pine needles, and I come into an office in the middle of a forest. And there
Hmm.
was old-fashioned desks and guys dressed from the 1800s. There were
Hmm.
typewriters, pocket watches, pictures hanging on walls that weren't there, drapery tracks that were hanging on walls that weren't there, windows that just seemed to float in midair,
Hmm.
carpet on the floor. And I'm looking at this like, what is this? Like, where is this?
Hmm.
And this guy looks up from his desk and he does the, come in, come in, come in, hurry up, come in. So I come in and I stand in front of his desk, and he's adjusting his glasses, he's looking at things, and looks up at me and he says, to answer your question in short, no.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. None. What do you mean no? No what? And he looks like he perplexed. Like he looks, moves some papers on the table and picks up a note, and he said, you asked a question earlier today about your writing and whether it was going to be a success or not. And I'm sorry to tell you, no, not
Ah,
in this life. Not
boo,
in this life. I'm
boo.
sorry.
Yeah,
And
that's
I just kind of
harsh.
was like, I know, but it really hit me. I'm just like, well, what's the point then? Like, I've got 10 years invested in this, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? I might as well just give up. I'll just give up and, start watching hockey like everybody else does, Anyway, he looked so worried at that moment. My goodness, and he's like, no, 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 no. You cannot do that. I'm like, why not? Nothing's stopping me. And he says, you don't understand. He goes, I don't know what it is you're writing or what you're working on or why you're working on it, what drives you. He goes, that doesn't matter to me at all. He says, however, if you stop, if you just give up and quit, he says, you forfeit the life lesson. And you don't want to do that, because if you do that, you get to come back and do it all over again, verbatim, right up to the point where you quit and you move on from there. So all your hardships you've had from hour one of your birth to when you give up, you get to do it again. Like, oh, never going to do that again.
Wow.
Terror.
Wow. That's
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's
That's
hard.
harsh.
It's hard when you get the whole chastising sort of thing. I've had things like that throughout my life. You just wake up feeling kind of like, huh, all
Yeah, but they
right
don't
then.
fool around, do they? When you're getting a
No.
visitation or you're dealing with an ethereal being, they're short, they're to the point, and they lack emotion. It's like, boom, this
Mm-hmm.
is it.
Yes.
I don't care
Yes.
if you like it. The Band-Aid's coming off quick.
Yes. Oh yeah. It was wow. It was
Yeah.
wow. Have I ever had a dream talking to one of the ghosts that I have helped out? Yes, actually, quite a few times. And I can tell you about one specifically. I can't name names, of course, because of the fact that the one I'm going to mention was very well known. It was more like a vision, because we had just helped another individual over. He had worked in exorcisms, and it was very, it was, I always say people who work with malevolent beings, whether it be exorcism, deliverances, investigators, I think people take chances. And this person, sometimes you have to think, maybe are they sacrificed, or do they just get snagged, during the rites that they're going through. Anyway, probably about a month later, if that, I started getting really vivid dreams of another man, and he had been sacrificed in this vision, but I hadn't really been thinking about it. I just saw that this person was just laid out, and the pentagram, and all I could see is just bits and pieces of it, and didn't really think much about it, because I'm thinking I'm having a damn nightmare. It's not until after it happens in some cases that you realize you're just having a dream. Other times you realize, I think maybe this is somebody reaching out, or this is a vision. This is something that my attention is supposed to be drawn to. So I do what I do. I researched. It's not like I'm not given a name per se, because I'm not recognizing that at the time, because I think I'm having a nightmare. I'm not really paying real attention to all of the little tiny details. I'm just thinking, yeah, I don't really want to do this right now. Like, I'm good. But it stuck with me. And when things keep sticking with me, I know I'm supposed to look into it. So I did look into it, and I did find the individual. So, our team, very, very tight, especially at the time. And we were able to connect and definitely help this individual, and realized after the fact that there was a connection between the two men. So I think it was, a little bit of both beings coming forward, both spirit individuals coming forward and saying, hey, look, this has to happen. This person needs help. And we did, of course, and sometimes it's something as benign as, just seeing someone who's passed on, even like a social media friend. And all of a sudden it's just like, poof, constant in my face, constant. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because you've never met this person. But, friends of friends who had met this individual and realized that, the individual was stuck. And so we kind of went in there and helped them along. Like sometimes they have a way of reaching out. And, when you don't recognize it right off the bat, like I said, I thought I was just having this really horrific dream. I'm thinking, God, what is this about? And realize I'm trying to think, was there any movies I've watched lately? Something sticking with me? Have I worked with a family that maybe something's just sort of having to bleed through? Like what's going on? And it was very, very different. And when we put it all together, we were just like, wow, okay, this is pretty intense. So yeah, that's happened a few times in my life. Misha, I remember a dream when I was 3. A horse merry-go-round was in the corner of my room and some kind of being was there. It was all mist, and I'm now 55. So that one really stuck with you.
It would.
Yeah.
It would for sure.
Yeah.
Well, look at that motorcycle friend that I had a dream of him 3 days in a row, and he had passed away in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked you, I said, I haven't thought about this guy in probably 15 years.
Oh, I remember.
I'm dreaming about him all the time.
Yes.
And he was atheist, hard and fast.
Yes.
And I said, can you mind just like popping into the other side and make sure he's all right? And he was stuck. He was lost, wandering around.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we went in and helped him out, and he ended up thanking you. Like because you were having reoccurring.
Yeah, 3 days in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was
with this guy who I hadn't thought about in 15 years. So
yeah. See, so that's like a different kind of visitation. Like reaching out, saying, like, look at, you need that.
It was funny though, because he never come up to me and said, hey, I need help. It was just a dream of him, him and I standing with our motorcycles outside an A&W, and another one was just inside a Mr. Sub shop getting breakfast or lunch or something. It was just all the stuff that we did, together when we were together, like working together sort of deal, right? So it was very strange.
Yeah, but when you have somebody, for example, that doesn't know they're stuck, they're just kind of lingering, and they're just popping by to visit with a few good memories. But I think it's our intuition where you sit and you keep thinking about someone. You realize that the visitation seems so intense. Like I still remember when my best friend at the time, because she's been passed for a really long time now. But when she passed away, like I knew it and I felt it because I basically woke up, my pillow had been wet I guess I had been crying. And when her husband called me, he says, well, I have something to tell you. And he told me she had passed. I said, yeah, at this time. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I didn't want to wake you that early because it's 5:30 in the morning. I said, that's okay. And I remember having a visitation, like probably, I don't know, months and months later, because she was one who was very, very active because, we were best friends. We grew up together. She was like my sister. We've known each other since we were like 6 or 7 years old. Right. And so she basically always said, she goes, well, I'm going to come and visit you. I was like, oh, okay. But she would always leave little signs. Like she used to call me at a certain time every other day and the phone would ring at that certain time every other day. Nobody ever on it. And here, me who should know better, I would always just put the phone down. I'm like, hello, hello, hello. And I put the phone down. And my mother at the time would say, you do realize it takes a while for, they don't have a voice box anymore, right? It does take a while maybe for them to try to say a few words. And I was kind of like, oh, duh. Yeah, I know that. But not in the moment. It was not registering, And when she came in with her visitation, because we were really, really close. We were like sisters, because I didn't have sisters at the time that I had her first, right? And I just remember saying to her, she was just looking so happy. And I'm looking at her like, what am I supposed to do without you? Because she would remember everything. I had a hard time remembering memories of my childhood. And that's how busy my life was and still is. So it got crazy. And she just looked at me and I said, what am I supposed to do without you? She goes, you'll go on. It's like this light went off. I was like, I'll go on. It's like a no-brainer thing. And I just, from that moment on, that was it. There was no looking back. And I mean, it's not like I can't communicate with the spirit people in my life. But it just goes to show you how I think our life instances and our busy schedules keep us from really paying attention to what's going on. Right? Wayne, if you run into the man in the 50s suit, please tell him that I'm going to bug the heck out of him.
Oh, the man in the 50 suit? Never seen a man in a 50 suit.
No. Yeah, he
No.
said an old man in a 50s suit with circle glasses. I think I've had a conversation with the ethereal being or eternal being. Yeah.
I'll let him know.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I think it's always really fascinating. I've had like all kinds of experiences like that.
Yeah, they're neat. I mean, I guess I've only had two dreams that I can remember where they were like I was in control of the dream, like lucid dreaming. Like I can't do it at all. I did it when I was younger, but that was it.
Yeah.
But what happens is I know when I'm traveling, like when I have what I call a traveling dream, because they're exhausting. When I wake up, I'm beat. Doesn't even feel like I slept. I don't sleep good at the best of times, but I mean, I had one where I just sort of appear in like an Aboriginal Native American setting. It looked like parts of Arizona, very, very dry, very, lots of rock and cactus and things like that around. But I look around and it's a massacre is what it is. It's just a complete massacre. But it was with another tribe, I would imagine, because all the dead had arrows in them. wasn't from boomsticks. Anyway, the women were all crying and carrying on, and I walked through them all, and I'm looking at this carnage, and I was just like, no, like it's not going to happen, not today. It is not happening. And I remember being really like powered up is the only way I could describe it. Like all the hairs on my arms stood up, and I was really quite put off by this whole thing. I wouldn't say angry was the word, but really like this is unacceptable. And I went over to the first guy that was closest to me and I knelt down. I pulled the arrow out of him and I put my hand over the wound and the wound closed up. And I'm like, get up. It's not your time. Get up. And he opened his eyes and he sat up and I pulled him to his feet. And I went to the next one and I went through the whole crowd of these dead men. And I pulled them all up, and I wasn't Aboriginal. Like I remember looking down at my hands, and they were like white as Wonder Bread, And I pulled them all up. I pulled all the arrows out, fixed all their wounds, and pulled them up. They were all freaking out. They were all crying and wanting to touch me, and I'm just like, no, I gotta go. I can't stay here. I gotta go. Live well, be happy. And I took my left hand and I did a counterclockwise motion 3 times in the air, and an elliptical oval purple swirling portal opened up and I just walked into it. Don't know where I went.
But, so do you think this is one of those cases where you're having a like while you're sleeping, you are traveling, you are working?
Definitely traveling. Now, I don't know if it's dimensional or if it's I'm going back in time to this plane of existence, but just 200 years ago, 400 years ago. Like I don't know quite what it is. I mean, I've had ones where, I'm traveling with a group of guys in a blue van. There's that blue color again, a blue van. But it's some kind of like time machine. It's not like Back to the Future by any means, but it was the portal to get us to where we're going. And the next thing we know, the van appears on a dirt road, in the Old West, like cowboys and Indians kind of thing, right? And we get out and get changed and we walk into town. And I remember sitting with this old guy at the saloon outside. And there was these 2 other guys, and the old guy had a plan and he was talking to them about what had to happen and why it had to happen. And the younger guy was just starting to get lippy, and then he put his hand down on his gun, and I'm like, oh, you do not want to do that, friend. you know, and the old guy just looks at the guy with his hand on the gun and he goes, "You best listen to the young feller." Young
Mhm.
feller. I guess that's me.
Mm.
Just so different, such a different place.
Yeah, but I love that. I love when that sort of thing happens. It makes you wonder, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Are we living different? There's a theory that we live different lives simultaneously. There's other theories, or we just get up and go. We work. We're not stuck to the physical. We just seem
Yeah.
to be here, to just live in this physical
Oh,
place, but yet you can leave. You can have out of body experiences. You can have astral projection. You can leave. You can still. We're not limited here. I think we're just sort of conditioned to think that we are very limited. Carrie, I had a dream like I was in the third person watching it, could feel the emotion of my soul, terrified to enter a room. My spirit goes in there, and I could hear her slamming someone, almost like a cartoon. Ah, okay. Yeah, I can see be terrified. Bam. Guardian had dreams about snakes 3 days in a row. Fourth day, almost stepped on a rattler. Haha, was only inches away. All dreams have meanings. Yes.
well,
Yes.
snakes are knowledge too, so they're trying to impart knowledge on you. You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do we have time to talk about apocalyptic dreams? I don't even know
Oh,
where
we're
we are
we're
on the
we're
show.
going to definitely be that was going to
Okay.
be next. I think me and Wayne have done work on the other side together. I don't know why, but I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Do you
possible.
have a handlebar mustache and call me young feller?
There we go.
I don't know.
So the apocalyptic dreams to me are very fascinating, and primarily because a lot of ET contactees have reported having apocalyptic dreams in a red environment, such as red soil, red skies, things like that. And for me, I think I might have had those maybe a couple of times. And even then, I'm just there. It's not like a panic thing per se, not like your dreams. So do you
Mine
want to?
aren't panicked either though. Like I'm not third
Yeah,
person. It's me.
yeah, but
It's me, but
you're
a
very
different me.
aware. Yeah,
Oh yeah. It's me of the non-sketchy, not timid me.
yeah.
You know,
Bam. All right.
yeah, bam, take care of
Yeah.
business, and that's the end of it, right? It's just not me at all. But I
Okay.
think like there's been two or three of them, and like the one that really rocks me a bit because it's so close to reality and the way they speak is I'm in a cemetery, but it's very steampunkish. That's the only way I can really put down to it. You know, it's like a lot of like old style revolvers make up the tombstones. You know,
Mhm.
even though they're made of marble, they look like guns, right? You know, and they have like cogs and gears and sprockets and things on the tombstones. It's a very strange looking place, but
Yeah.
much like here, it's rolling hills and trees and a very beautiful place. And then there's a group of guys that are standing around at a clearing at the bottom of a hill. So I'm heading towards them.
Mm.
And clearly, as I'm walking up to these guys, they are military in their appearance. You know, they have the uniforms on, as do I. Like I have a uniform on as well. And there's the typical old colonel captain looking guy with the buzz cut and the scar across his face. You know, the typical Hollywood, rough and tumble commander has been through everything and back. And I joined the group, and he looks at me and he says, "How you feeling, son?" And I said, "I'm okay." And he said, "You still hear the voices in your head?" I said, "Sometimes, here and there." And he kind of nods. He says, "They still trying to tell you that their world is the real world and where we are is the dream?" Still trying to tell you that, are they? Oh my God. That really rocked me because I came out of that dream kind of going like, did I is the world I'm in a dream? Or is that world that I just visited, was
Mm.
that the dream? Like I just don't even know. That he just said it so matter of factly that it impacted me. There was no fanfare to it. There was no you got to believe this. It was just like, are the voices in your head still trying to tell you that that world you come from is real and this one's a fake? This one's the dream. And I
Wow.
said, well, sometimes. He goes, it'll fade. It'll fade with time.
So it sounds like when you're in a, the red environment, the
Hmm.
red skies, the red sand. I mean, that's again, hypothesis basically is the fact that we, as a race, as a species, maybe have come from Mars. We may have resided there at one point. And
Could have been.
apocalyptic being, is it a natural apocalypse? Was it war? Was it, who knows? You
Yeah, I
know?
don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
yeah.
There
Whatever
was
the case
there
may be, it
was
sticks with people, though.
oh, they all did. They're all like in their own right. Like I said, in the dream, I'm not scared. I'm never scared. It's just whereas here, it's just like the world's a scary place, and
Hmm.
that world should be a scary place, but it doesn't bother me. And
Hmm.
there's a place on that in that red zone that's still beautiful, and they have monorails that come in and out of the city, and you can't get in if you're not part of
Hmm.
the in crowd. You don't get in, but they need workers periodically, and so the plan is to get me inside to take care of business of some sort. And so I queue up and, I get to the thing and they're like, where's your ID card? And I go to get it and I don't have it. So it's a bit of a panic. And, I'm still pretty cool about it, but they're not digging it.
Hmm.
Anyway, one of the guys that are there, one of the security guys looks at me and he goes, oh, Ed, that's Kirkland, let him in. And he goes, okay. He's like, next time remember your ID card. I'm like, yeah, I will for sure. Even the name, like Kirkland, you know what I mean? Like it's like I
Hmm.
don't even know why I'd remember that, but it's there. Get on
Hmm.
this pristine monorail system and back into the beautiful city, and it's lots of glass and polished aluminum and steel. It's just a beautiful place. And I get in there, and I'm supposed to go to this work detail, but I branch off and do my own thing and work my way up to some lab that works on genetics of building a better child. Just without the womb, without the mother, without the
Hmm.
whole needing of parents. It was just freaky.
Hmm.
And so I finally get into this place and I'm looking around. There's all these like embryos and bottles and stuff, and very sterile looking, all white, beautiful looking,
Hmm.
and I start to work my way around to figure out how to shut this whole thing down and get rid of it. And then there's the main scientist guy with the bald head and the white coat and the little beady glasses,
Hmm.
and he says, you're going to ruin everything. You think you know what you're doing, but you don't. Like this will save everything on this planet. If you blow it up, then we're all doomed. And I said, this isn't the savior. This isn't the way to do it.
Hmm.
Like these are horrifying what you're creating here. And I got pull out this weapon of sorts, and he laughs. He's like, he didn't care. He's like, do you know what will happen if you pull that trigger? He goes, every sentry, like I guess they're talking about robotic sentries, will be here and on you in seconds. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Got a good point. So I put the gun away. He goes, that's right. Now let's just talk. And I pick up a fire extinguisher and just beat his head in. Nice and quiet, like.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but
That's
like
craziness.
it's just bad. It's just bad. Anyway, the whole thing gets destroyed, and I end up getting airlifted off by a helicopter hanging by the skid. Not a care in the world. I would be crying if that was me in real life.
Yeah.
Crying.
Right. Help.
I don't do speed, I don't do heights, and I don't do guns. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're going to get into the section of the dream world, which are nightmares. So, and then we're
Okay.
gonna just because some people are putting in a little bit of dark stuff here, so we're gonna get
Yeah,
into
do it.
that. But a nightmare, a frightening or disturbing dream that typically awakens the sleeper, often accompanied by strong negative emotions or fear of anxiety. Sounds a little bit like sleep paralysis. Anyway,
Hmm.
so while it's normal to have some nightmares, frequent nightmares um, can indicate what's called a nightmare disorder. Nightmares can be triggered by various factors: stress, anxiety, mental health conditions like PTSD, medications. I've had people say that taking things like melatonin, which is pretty natural. I mean, we emit, brain emits melatonin, um, and get that pineal gland going nice and active. But in doing so, um, they fall into such deep sleeps that they have horrific nightmares. I've met a couple of people who have done that, whereas I would dream like crazy, but I was a lucid dreamer, right? But it's just they ended up in these really deep defining, what they would say, nightmares. So they're usually very vivid, and usually, again, the deepest stage of sleep in the REM sleep. And apparently, while common in children, many adults experience nightmares on occasion. Night terrors as well. When my daughter was very, very tiny, I mean, we're talking months old, every time we would visit at my parents' house, she would have night terrors. Well, y'all know my story. So, I mean, and I never let that child out of my sight. So it's a matter of, even in sleep state, and she was with me, she was still just wake up in these terrors. So I don't know. It's getting into that kind of thing, distressing nightmares. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab some of these dreams. Sherry says, I had a dream recently, crazy one, watching a scene where a man held a woman in his arms. She was on fire, fell over, both dead. Beyond him, several other bodies on fire. So we've got these dark dreams here. For me, the only time I have an apocalyptic dream was in a church camp, funny enough. And one of the guys in my cabin, I think he was actually an abductee. Okay. Mish says, I just remembered a dream. I broke into an old man's house, killed him, and stole earbuds, of all things, to clean your ears out with. It was horrible. Oh my God. What's that about? Be interesting to do an interpretation on that one, let me tell you. I had dreams as a child of trying to outrun waves that were several stories high. Another one here. I had a vivid memory of a reoccurring dream as a child. Weird, but an old hag-looking lady was in our crawl space in our basement, making weird gestures. Scared me as a 6-year-old. Jeepers, yes, that I can imagine that definitely would. So, hold on. Yeah, see, sleep is rather brave when you think about it. Anything can happen while we are knocking out our Z's. Yes, yes. My granddaughter has night terrors, screaming since she was a newborn. I feel it's past life memories. Very much could. Stop for my daughter. I was grateful. Just nothing energy work did not help, thankfully. I sometimes will put a pug outside. Other times I flush it depending on the situation. Oh, are we talking mosquitoes? No. Oh, 3 cats. I'm lost. See, son, you got me lost. But I don't know. I'll tell you. What prompts that is you just have to look at what's going on in your life at the time. I would have thought working in the field that I worked in, primarily, on a more malevolent hauntings, that I would have experienced a lot more than I did. I've experienced sleep paralysis twice in my life. Visions. I don't think I've ever really gotten anything that really scared me, per se. But I figured I would have had a lot more.
Not much scares you though.
No, but I do startle.
Well, I know that. That's different than being scared.
Yeah.
I can startle you, but I don't want to die.
Yeah, maybe I don't recall. Yeah. What? Whatever. Whatever. No.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. So,
I mean, how do you explain a dream? I'm with I don't know who it was that said past life memories, but like with a young child. But I sit there and go like, when I was young, I was terrified of dinosaurs. I didn't know what they were. No idea what they were.
Crazy. Yeah.
No idea what they were.
Yes.
I didn't know what they were until I was in probably grade 1 or grade 2, and I ran home after seeing a movie of a dinosaur. And I was just like, oh, it's coming to life, run. It was terrible,
Mm-hmm.
And that thing manifested itself in running through the park as a young kid and being chased by a Tyrannosaurus and being bit in half. And when I woke up, my babysitter got me out of bed and I was screaming and thrashing about, and I had welts across my chest or across my abdomen and across my back.
See? So how did that, see what I mean? Like manifestation?
No idea.
If you
No
can
idea.
manifest that, man, jeepers.
Like I don't know what it was from. Like, am I traveling in my dreams? Like as far as I know, human beings and dinosaurs did not coexist that we know of.
Well, what are the chances of you being bitten in your dream in half and you end up with
Oh yeah.
bite marks all the way around you?
Oh yeah. It was a real thing.
Yeah, see? I don't know. I have to say that that the dream world, this place that we go to in our sleep, it's just like anything can happen. I absolutely agree. Anything can happen. And if we can manifest it, if we're good at lucid dreaming, I haven't done lucid dreamings in a heck of a long time. To my knowledge, I know there's some that I'm manipulating somehow, just to be able to retain my information, or if I'm looking for something, and it's always in the twilight, or not in the twilight times. It's always, around mid morning or when you wake up for a little bit, then you go, you fall back asleep. It's always in that time where they're really, really vivid. And if I'm looking for certain information, I can wander through my dream and I will be fully aware that I'm looking for that information and I'm going to great lengths to try to find it. Like I'm being proactive within that space. One second. Okay, Tamara. The last nightmare I had was of a vampire. I stopped in the dream, yelled at him, and started chasing him, and have not had a nightmare since I was 14. Wayne, were you in Tamara's dream chasing her?
I was gonna say I don't recall being chased, but that's pretty mean behavior.
Yeah.
Wow. Thought we were friends.
Oh, yeah. There we go. There we
You
go.
know. That's
Um,
wild.
but I also think being in that state, that it's a time for, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's a time for getting those messages. It's a time for visiting with loved ones. It's a time for paying attention to the just those benign, non-consequential dreams, like your Ford Falcon. Who would have known
Yeah. Who
that
would
when
have
you
known?
looked it all up, it referred to so much?
Hmm.
I've had dreams when I started really dissecting them. I mean, dissecting every event, the numbers, the symbols, the colors. It takes quite a bit of time to do it, but it all makes sense. Everything has its place. As benign as that dream may be, it has its place. And when you break it down, don't just write down, okay, dreamt I was being chased by a fox, and then say, okay, I was being chased by a fox. So you get, I like the books a little bit better than going online for it still, but let's just say you do that. Well, what color was the fox? Where were you? Look at those little details that maybe sort of get flashed at you but don't really stand out, and then ask yourself what was going on in your life at the time that you were having the dream, and see if the puzzle pieces fit, you know? Um, just how powerful are our thoughts and intentions. 100%.
I find too sometimes I'll wake up and I'm struggling to remember the dream. And then I know if I can just get one detail,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is. It could just be like, I remember the other night I was trying to remember a dream and it's like, oh yeah, there was a door. And I was like, yeah, there was a door and there was stairs leading to the door.
Yes.
Right, the door was gray. And then all of a sudden the whole dream came back to me pretty quickly. I just need to pull one small aspect from that. And then it's like I open a doorway literally from my conscious to my subconscious. And then I have dialogue between the two sides for a moment.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. I think, like they'll say, when you wake up, if you can, to try and write it down. Well, sometimes don't necessarily feel like you don't necessarily feel like getting down and writing things down, or which is why we've gotten into the habit of sitting down and going through the details of the dreams, and we'll recite it to
Yeah,
one another, and then we'll ask questions. Oh, okay, so, well, what color was that?
yeah.
Or what was that person wearing at the time, or So we're sort of trying to trigger the rest of the dream or bring about additional information. But then you remember it. The more you're talking about it, you start to remember it and more details come forward. And
Yeah.
then even if you're just getting into your word pad on your phone, you're just like, even talk to text, even if it pulverizes the talk to text, at least you can go in there and make the correction. But at least you can get into, what was the message. And at that point, it's easy to start dissecting it and seeing, okay, what was this dream about? And sometimes again, if it's a vision, for me, or downloads, sometimes you get a download, you just come back feeling really rejuvenated, and it's a really powerful experience. You feel really amazing after that. You don't necessarily know why. I think I was just saying to you the other day, remember, we were just driving, and I said, God, today just feels like amazing. It just feels like
Yeah.
totally different. And it's like nothing's changed, but maybe I was changed
Yeah.
somehow,
That was the
tweaked
day
a
I
little
pulled my
bit.
back out. That was the
Sorry.
universe just putting everything into balance.
Wow.
Oh, you're laughing pretty hard at my pain there.
Not laugh at your pain. It's how you say it.
That's how I say it.
How you say
I'm
it.
starting to sound like my child.
I know. Z-san, has anyone encountered friends who are also astral traveling in certain realms? Then you talk about it and they recall it too. I can't say that I've had that one.
No.
Yeah, I cannot say that I've had that one.
No.
Um, have you looked into human design? Learned about this yesterday, depending of who we are and how we do things. That opens up a whole other door. But,
It does.
I think if you're looking into things like that, it's just ask for the information. There are ethereals who will tell you everything you want to know. And realistically speaking, the key, I think, is remembering. There are things I never remember, the downloads or visions. And then when I'm doing something or researching something, or they find ways to get me to where I'm supposed to go. If I'm working, especially if I'm doing energy work or light work, all of a sudden I just know. I come out with things. I just know how to do things in that moment. And I always say to people, I says, write it down. I will not remember this. Or people I work with, I'll say, make note of it because I will not remember it. And I don't. It just comes to you almost like subconsciously. You just do it. You just instinctively know what to say or what to do. The dream was crazy. I was trying to drive to my friend's farm. I kept coming up to dead ends. I tried at least 3 times, texted her in my dream. She replies, sounds about right. She divorced and moved. Wow, there we go. All right, dead ends. I like it.
All roads blocked.
Have you ever had family members have the same dream? Not that I'm aware of, but yet I
Not me.
have 2 sisters who are closer in age, and they tend to do things. Now, I have had this with friends. I have, a friend of mine stateside, and we used to be able to, peg on things that were like just almost exact, not quite, or she would message and say, hey, there's something going on, and I'm just going through the roll call, and be just like, wait, yes on this. So it's kind of cool. Is that a form of dream weaving where we're able to just come together, and whatever happens within the dream state that you can bring into the awake state? I don't know.
Out of my realm. I don't know enough about that. Just a heads
uh
up, the drama queen's wandering around.
Dexter.
Yep.
The cat.
The Cato.
The cat is ready, and that's the end of that.
Cato.
Well, I think this was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It
it
went
was.
in a lot of different directions. You guys were awesome with the comments and the questions. Um, Again, I have to say, like, for me, I thought this would be a fun segment to do because
It was.
I love getting into the whole, thank you, Mark, the whole world of dreams and everything that comes with it. Getting into, texture, indeed.
Dexter.
Yes.
Good name.
Good night, Hofnack. I think there's just so much. There's so much that happens when we, lay our heads down to go to sleep. Whether we are traveling, whether we are looking for messages, whether we are looking to visit with loved ones, whether we're connecting up with others within the dream world, it's all possible. And I think it's definitely something that can be harnessed and mastered. And I mean, can you imagine? We could all do this in the dream world, people, right? We can all connect up and do this. I know. Just think about how amazing it would be. I've had a lot of a knowing of how to do something or just knowing of things to happen. Yes, exactly. 100% correct. So, with that being said,
That's weird.
we have to do maybe a part 2 sometime. People want to send in all their dreams or want to talk about it. We could definitely do it. And look for those messages, because there are so many messages that I believe the ethereal world or our loved ones are trying to reach out to us. Even your higher self, if you are in that right state. And sometimes you wake up and you just start falling asleep again. Because for me, it's the morning hours, especially. Then just pay attention, because tons of messages come in. I'll often ask to see something within my mind's eye, and I'll just close my eyes. And just as I'm closing my eyes, I could see it, and the image is brought right to my face, like literally to my mind's eye. It's so close that, I was looking for a certain ethereal being at one point, and this big giant eye came right up to my face, and I could just look right into it. And it was just like, oh my God, it was an incredible connection. So it's just a lot of potential. And I think people would just have we would have so much to talk about if we could all learn to do this. We could really have a lot of fun with it.
A quick question here,
Go
just
ahead.
before we close. I think that maybe in the next open mic, we should talk about what one of your guests said about. I can't read anything; it's so small.
Yeah.
Just regarding like having abilities that you have never been taught. I think it comes from somewhere else. Like I got a friend of mine who, at the age of 5, could tell me every detail about a Spitfire. Like a warbird from World War II.
Yeah.
He knew everything about it. And I've never done brickwork professionally in my life, but I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. I've never picked up a book on it.
Well, yeah. And I mean, and just look at what, with the healing and the energy work that you're doing. Like, there are things that are happening in the dreams that perhaps you can, if you try, do in real life.
It's there, something there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's so much hidden within ourselves that the dream world opens up for us to be able to show us things. That's us. That's how I see it. I don't know, man. I think it'd be great. Dream within a dream. Yes.
I
Yes.
hate those, just for the record. I hate those. You wake up from a horrifying dream and think you're awake and you're still dreaming. No,
you get another dream. I
you
know.
can just keep that. I've had that twice in my life. Man, oh man, no thank you.
Oh my God. Yeah. I know.
No.
Well, with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to our open mic, Exploring the Dream World, messages, visions, and such. It was a lot of fun to do it, a lot of fun to share the evening with you guys. And, wait till the next one. It's always going to be good. Always. Anyway, tomorrow night, as you know, our last guest, Dr. Christopher Macklin, had to postpone as he had a surgery that was offered to him, a surgery date that he needed to take. So when you get that and you're on a waiting list, man, you jump on it. So, we're sending out our very best to him and hope that he gets on the mend, and he will be back in September. Tomorrow night, my dear friend, I was just so happy that he was able to do this, because this is something that I have been at him for, and he kind of took a little bit of a break. And I'm like, please come and do this. So he's he's just phenomenal. He always indulges me. So he's joining me for a very deep dive discussion on what's called Project December, which is kind of like, as he put it, the Philip experiment on steroids, but it definitely is something that's a whole new level. There is this thing about contacting or communicating with the dead using AI. There's even a grief bot, chat bot for grief. And as you know, I mean, we had a guest, a few weeks ago talking about exactly this. And this is different. This is something that a lot of researchers are starting to raise awareness about. Is this healthy? Can this bring in malevolent energies? I mean, when you get things that are coming in even through, electronics, can you imagine coming through AI? So essentially, it's talking to the dead using AIs, pros, cons, and the whole ins and out on Project December. So that's what you guys should go have a look at it and get yourselves all prepped up. And we're going to be talking about that tomorrow evening. So thank you, Folgers, for sponsoring tonight's show and every night show. Thank you to Justice Snicker. Thank you to Steve McGinnis. And we have been broadcasting on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. And thank you to my compadre, Wayne Mallows. Thanks to all of you guys. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow evening.
Good night, everybody.